Welcome to your personalized deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're looking at a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, a ticking time bomb.
Right. But it's not strapped to a building in some action movie. It is actually hanging in the back of your closet right now, completely invisible to the naked eye.
It's a really phenomenal illusion, honestly. I mean, we look at a garment, we don't see a stain, and we just assume it's perfectly safe.
Right. Think about, like, the aftermath of a major event.
Yeah.
When that action movie hero walks away from an explosion, the damage is incredibly
Oh,
obvious.
well, absolutely.
There's dust on the suit, tears in the fabric, visible scuffs. You can see exactly what the garment has been through. But then you look at a bride at the end of her wedding reception. She takes off this stunning, seemingly pristine gown.
Right.
To you, to me, to the naked eye, the dress still looks absolutely flawless. It's this beautiful, cherished symbol of a monumental life event. But according to the garment care specialists at Apparelizer, whose deep research we're unpacking today, that seemingly perfect dress is actually, well, a textile in severe distress.
And that's really the crux of textile conservation. Preserving a wedding gown isn't just about, folding it up, throwing some tissue paper on it, and shoving it in a cardboard box.
Which is what everyone does.
Exactly. But what a paralyzer is detailing here is an intensive archival process. Like it's a rigorous scientific approach designed to protect a highly valuable physical asset for generations.
And that is our exact mission for this deep dive. We're going to explore the surprising material science and the incredibly meticulous chemistry behind preserving a wedding gown.
Yeah, the chemistry is fascinating.
It really is, because once you understand the actual mechanics of what is happening to that fabric at a molecular level, you realize why just hanging it up is, like, the worst thing you can do.
Oh, easily the worst.
So let's talk about that invisible time bomb ticking away on the fabric.
Oh.
If I look at a dress after a wedding and it looks pristine, what is actually happening under a microscope?
Well, to really understand the threat, we have to divide the contaminants into two distinct categories. First, you have your visible threats.
The obvious ones.
Right, the obvious ones that immediately trigger a panic response. If you had an outdoor ceremony, you're dealing with mud, dust, pollen, and, the grass stains being ground into the hemline.
Oh yeah, the hemline is always a disaster.
Exactly. Then you have the hazards of the reception itself. Makeup, foundation, lipstick, maybe mascara rubbing off near the neckline, and of course the classic food and beverage spills.
Red wine, cake frosting, heavy sauces, the usual suspects of a really great party.
Right. If you look down and see like chocolate frosting mashed into your tulle skirt, you know immediately that you need professional help.
Yeah, that's a five-alarm fire right there.
Precisely. But here is the fatal flaw in human perception. We define cleanliness purely by sight. We naturally assume that if a dress looks clean, it chemically is clean.
Which makes sense, logically.
It does, but the second category of contaminants entirely relies on this blind spot. These are the invisible threats. We're talking sweat, naturally occurring body oils, heavy perfume residue, and perhaps the most dangerous of all, invisible sugar-based stains.
Wait, invisible sugar stains? Like what?
Think about a splashed clear soda, a drop of white wine, or even just condensation from a cocktail glass. They dry completely clear.
Oh, wow. I know exactly what you mean. You're probably listening right now thinking, well, I didn't spill anything on my wedding day. I was so careful.
But did you hug anyone wearing heavy perfume?
Exactly. Did you sweat while dancing under those hot lights? Did someone clink a glass of champagne a little too aggressively near you?
Usually the answer is yes.
Right. You look in the mirror at the end of the night, you see nothing, and you think you dodged a bullet.
But chemically, you haven't dodged anything. The sugars, the complex proteins from the sweat, and the oils are now deeply embedded within the intricate fibers of the silk or the satin.
Okay, so the thread is there, it's just hiding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here is where the timeline becomes incredibly unforgiving. The core danger is this dual process of oxidation and polymerization.
Okay, let's unpack this. What is actually happening to the fabric? Like, what does that mean?
So if those invisible stains aren't chemically neutralized within a few weeks, they begin to react with the oxygen in the air.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the sugars and oils literally bond with the textile fibers. Slowly, over months and years, that completely invisible sugar stain oxidizes, and the oils polymerize.
Polymerize meaning what exactly?
Meaning they harden into a kind of microscopic plastic shell around the fibers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and as this chemical reaction progresses, it alters how the fabric reflects light. It turns into this permanent dark yellow or brown discoloration.
Okay, that sounds exactly like a sliced apple left on a kitchen counter.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize the mechanism. It really is.
Right, because you cut an apple, and for the first few minutes, the exposed flesh looks perfectly fresh, crisp, and white.
Yep.
But if you just leave it there, the oxygen in the air reacts with the enzymes in the apple, and it turns brown. It oxidizes.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is that the invisible sugar stains and body oils on a dress are running that exact same chemical playbook, just on a much longer timeline.
Precisely. The stain was always there. The chemistry just hadn't caught up with it yet.
That is terrifying.
And by the time the chemistry does catch up, like by the time you pull that dress out of the closet 5 years later and see dark yellow patches everywhere, the molecular structure of the fabric has actually been compromised.
So it's not just a stain anymore.
No, the fibers themselves become brittle. The discoloration is incredibly difficult to reverse. And if the polymerization is severe enough, the stain essentially becomes part of the fabric itself.
Which naturally leads to the conclusion that you have to get it cleaned immediately.
Yeah.
But I have to push back here a little bit.
Sure.
Because I know what our listeners are thinking. We are all painfully aware of the infamous wedding tax.
Oh, the wedding tax.
Right. You get the drill. You take a standard vanilla cake, put the word bridal in front of it, and suddenly the price triples.
It happens all the time.
So is specialized bridal cleaning an actual technical science?
Yeah.
Or is it just like a clever marketing term used to upcharge people who just want to drop their dress off at the local dry cleaner on the corner?
To be completely fair, your skepticism is highly warranted. It really is.
Yeah.
There absolutely are standard dry cleaners out there who just slap a bridal preservation sticker on their window, run it through their normal machines, and double the price.
See, I knew it.
It happens. But based on the rigorous documentation from Apparelizer, a certified preservationist isn't just dry cleaning. They're doing high-level textile conservation. The difference in the actual mechanics is staggering.
Wait, so the cleaner is literally doing like chemical triage on a single dress. What is the actual mechanical difference between the dry cleaner on my corner and a true preservationist?
It really comes down to the solvents and the mechanical force. Standard dry cleaning uses a heavy chemical solvent called perchloroethylene.
Perchloroethylene?
Right, universally known as PERC. PERC is an incredibly aggressive, highly effective degreaser. It is fantastic if you need to pull an oil stain out of a heavy, durable wool suit.
Okay. But a bridal gown isn't made of sturdy wool.
Exactly. We're talking about extremely delicate textiles, silk, satin, sheer chiffon, intricate tulle.
Right. Materials that you can practically see through.
Yes, and more than just the base fabrics, you have to consider the architecture and the embellishments.
The beads and the lace.
Exactly. Bridal gowns are covered in intricate lace, hand-sewn beads, pearls, sequins. And here's the critical failure point: sequins and decorative beads are often made of synthetic materials like acrylics or plastics.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, when those synthetic beads are exposed to a heavy, aggressive solvent like PERC, they literally dissolve.
Oh my gosh. They just melt.
They melt into a sticky, ruined mess.
That is horrifying. So if you take a custom beaded gown to a standard dry cleaner, the chemicals they use to clean a wool suit will actually liquidate the embellishments.
They will. Furthermore, standard dry cleaning processes rely on heavy mechanical tumbling in massive drums.
Oh, like a giant washing machine.
Right. If you put a delicate, structurally complex gown into a tumbling machine, that mechanical force will snap the threads holding the beads, tear the sheer tulle, and completely destroy the garment's architecture.
It's like using a sledgehammer to dust a chandelier.
That is a great analogy.
So a true preservationist can't just use a broad spectrum chemical. They have to use the exact right solution for a specific problem. It almost sounds like matching anti-venom to a specific snake bite.
The anti-venom metaphor is spot on.
Because if you use the wrong chemical on a silk sugar stain, you kill the fabric.
Exactly. A true bridal preservationist has to act as a specialized chemist. They customize their entire approach to the specific fabric composition and the specific beadwork of that one individual dress.
Okay, I want to dive into the exact anatomy of how this works. I want to look at the step-by-step reality of this conservation. Because looking at the breakdown, this process operates in distinct phases.
Very distinct phases. It's not just a fancy washing cycle.
Right. So let's start with the very first phase, which seems entirely focused on assessment.
Yes, the assessment phase is paramount. Before a single drop of cleaning solution or solvent touches the gown, a specialist examines every square inch of the garment under intense, specialized lighting.
What are they looking for?
They're hunting for those invisible sugar stains we talked about, often using UV light to reveal them. But equally important, they are assessing structural damage.
What kind of structural damage, though? I mean, the dress was only worn for a few hours.
You would be surprised. They are mapping out micro tears in the tulle from someone stepping on the train.
Oh, right. People are always stepping on the train.
Exactly. They're looking for a single loose thread on a beaded bodice or a patch of lace that has been stretched. You have to know the exact structural integrity of the canvas before you apply any chemical treatment.
Because if you don't,
Because if you don't identify a loose cluster of beads during the assessment, the moment you begin manipulating the fabric in the cleaning phase, those beads are gone forever.
so you are basically creating a threat map for the dress.
Exactly.
And once they have that map, they move into the chemistry phase.
Yep.
But if that sugar stain is acting like a browning apple already bonding with the fabric at a molecular level, regular soap and water isn't going to cut it.
No, not at all.
So how do you stop a chemical reaction that has already started?
This is where the customized chemistry comes into play. Spot treatment and textile conservation isn't just spraying a generic stain remover.
Like reaching for the shout bottle under the sink.
Right, exactly. The preservationists use highly specialized, often enzyme-based stain removers that are formulated for specific molecular bonds.
Okay, so matching the anti-venom again.
Yes. The chemistry required to break down the lipid fats in a makeup stain on a silk bodice is fundamentally different from the chemistry needed to neutralize an oxidizing sugar stain on a synthetic chiffon skirt.
So they're hand-treating different zones of the dress with entirely different chemical agents based on what the fabric is made of and what was spilled on it.
Correct. And they do this using gentle, fabric-safe methods that lift the contaminants away from the fibers without subjecting the delicate architecture to any aggressive friction. They are coaxing the stains out rather than scrubbing them out.
Which brings us to the next phase, and this is something I had never even considered until I read this research, the architecture of drying the gown.
Oh, drying is incredibly complex.
Because once the fabric is actually clean and saturated, I imagine you have this incredibly soggy, heavy dress.
Very heavy.
And you can't put it in a tumble dryer because of the heat and friction. But you also can't just hang it over a shower rods, right? How on earth do you dry a 15-pound ball of wet silk without completely ruining its shape?
You've hit on one of the most critical challenges in the entire process. Natural fibers like silk or heavy satin become extremely vulnerable and heavy when wet.
Because they just soak up all that water weight.
Exactly. If you just hang a wet wedding dress, the tensile strength of the wet fibers is completely overwhelmed by the weight of the water.
The tensile strength, meaning how much tension the fabric can take before it stretches or tears.
Right. Gravity will pull the water downward, severely stretching the seams, distorting the neckline, and permanently ruining the dress's built-in silhouette.
Wow.
Yeah. To combat this, the drying phase is strictly controlled. Preservationists utilize specialized drying cabinets with controlled microclimates.
Like incubators for dresses.
Very much so. They manage the exact humidity, temperature, and airflow. The dress is often dried flat or on specially designed tension forms so that it maintains its exact original three-dimensional shape as the moisture evaporates.
That is fascinating. The physics of water weight alone could ruin the dress if they aren't careful.
Without a doubt.
And that leads into the final finishing phase. You've safely dried this massive, complex garment, but it's bound to have some wrinkles. I assume you aren't just taking a hot, flat iron to the lace.
A standard hot iron would be catastrophic.
Just melt it all
And-
over again.
Exactly. If you press a flat, heavy iron onto intricate lace or dense embroidery, you instantly crush the three-dimensional texture. You flatten the very details that give the gown its luxury and character.
So what do they use instead?
Specialists use precision steam pressing. The steam relaxes the fibers and restores the gown's original crispness and elegance without physically flattening the delicate embellishments.
It brings the structural life back into the fabric.
It really does.
And then finally, the true archival step, the packaging. I'm assuming they don't just slip it over a wire hanger and hand it back to you.
Not at all. The gown is meticulously folded, often with the sleeves and bodice shaped with inserts to prevent hard creases, and placed inside an acid-free preservation box.
Acid-free.
Yes, and every fold of the fabric is cushioned with archival-quality, acid-free tissue paper.
Why is the acid-free part so heavily emphasized?
Because standard tissue paper contains chemical impurities that will transfer to the dress and cause the very yellowing we are trying to prevent.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, this entire specialized packaging system is engineered to block external moisture, block out dust, and halt any environmental